Ladies and gentlemen, today we would like to discuss an issue that is becoming more relevant today, simply because I don't know whether it's the dynamics of the world that we live in, but we'll be looking at emotional neglect and its impact on one's wellness. Increasingly today, partly due to technology chasing aspirations and goals, upbringing or parenting, we continue to see more of emotional neglect. And let's first discuss what is emotional neglect. Anyway, emotional neglect simply means a chronic state where one fails to receive emotional support from loved ones or those who are close to them. So someone is routinely not being supported emotionally. It could be children, it could be adults in the different relationships that we are involved in. The major relationships are marriage and with children that tend to be affected, and definitely it spills over to other relationships that we hold. So that is emotional neglect. One might underestimate the impact that this has on one's wellness. But we started to see behavioral disorders, especially in children, but even in adults, simply because they are experiencing or have experienced for a while emotional neglect. Some of the outcomes of emotional neglect include a state of loneliness. You might be actually in a room full of people, but you actually feel lonely. You might be in your home, you might be in a relationship with someone, you might even be married to someone for so many years, and you still feel lonely because you're not getting the emotional support that you need or desire. Loneliness, then one's self-esteem might drop. People start to think, is there something wrong with me? Why shouldn't I be loved? Because emotional support is an expression of love. Is there something wrong with me that I shouldn't be loved? And once one's self-esteem goes down, they are not able to be as productive as they should be. They are not able to fulfill their mandate to their capacity. You start to see children withdraw or withdrawn from friends, from relatives, because they feel there is something actually wrong with them, and yet there is probably nothing actually wrong with them. So loneliness, one's self-esteem will go down. We've noted increasing mental health challenges such as anxiety and depression, which are the commonest. One's mood actually drops because they feel, I am not loved, I'm an outcast, there is something wrong with me. So increasing mental health challenges. We have seen relationships break down, people fail to deliver at work, depending on the extremities of these. We've seen people fail to reach their potential. We've also seen states of mental illness that require medication. So emotional neglect actually impacts us. It has gone as far as, because people become so withdrawn, they look for something that will fill that gap. Some people resort to eating comfort food, and then they end up with obesity or challenges or complications resulting from obesity that include diabetes, that include cardiovascular disease, that they develop heart conditions, eventually heart attacks, simply because probably from childhood they have experienced emotional neglect. So we need to be aware that it is there. You and me could actually be causing this neglect, that it will impact the loved ones that we have, children, adults, young and old, that we could actually lose people, or people will fall sick simply because we are not providing the emotional support that we should, and that this can be avoided. We need to be aware It is increasing. We're in an era of technology where when people become withdrawn, they actually now resort to their devices for comfort. They resort to finding a gap filler. Some of the alcoholics that you see, or those who use drugs, it's also a gap filler because of emotional neglect. So let's look at strategies or ways we can actually deal with it. This is for those who are already experiencing it and experiencing the effects of emotional neglect. One, therapy. Once you identify that actually I am going through this, you can seek therapy so that you are equipped with skills on how to overcome. If you happen to have disease conditions that have come up because of it, treatment can be given to manage them. Also, we can equip you with skills on emotional regulation. How do you identify what emotions you're experiencing and how do you change them? If you are depressed, how can you actually get out of that depression? The other way is to also engage in activities that uplift your mood or your emotions. The other way is to talk about it, speak about it. Find people you can confide in and say, you know, I feel that I'm actually going through this. Can you support me? Can you hold my hand? But therapy, building skills for emotional regulation, managing the disease conditions that have come up, and seeking support and speaking about it are just some of the ways that we can address emotional regulation and the challenges or effects of emotional regulation. So emotional neglect is something that we need to be aware of. It's something that we need to purpose to deal with. Let us extend the support that each one out there needs to prevent some of these conditions, some of these complications, so that we can all live a more fulfilled life, a more productive life, a healthier life.